Crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, this homemade falafel won't fall apart whether you fry it or bake it. The key to perfect delicious falafel is soaked, not cooked, chickpeas. Hello, I'm Catherine, and I nearly gave up on trying to make falafel. With every recipe I tried, I would get 2 or 3 falafel that stuck together and the rest would be a crumbly mess. Something that all of those recipes had in common were that they called for canned cooked chickpeas. Years later, I stumble upon an authentic traditional falafel recipe and something was different. Soaked chickpeas, not cooked chickpeas. This recipe is really simple. It takes 25 minutes to make, but properly preparing the chickpeas does take a little bit of time. So stick with me because it's worth it. I've soaked 3/4 cup dry chickpeas in cold water in my fridge for 18 to 24 hours. I added half a teaspoon baking soda to the soaking water to help soften the chickpeas. That's it. That's pretty much all the extra prep you need to do, but let's backtrack for a second in case you've never used dried beans. One of my very first videos on YouTube was how to cook chickpeas from scratch, and I constantly tell you that cooking your beans from scratch can be more cost effective. These are dry chickpeas, which means they haven't been cooked yet. At your grocery store, you'll usually find them in bags on a lower shelf near the canned beans, or you can likely get them at your bulk store. You might see the price on these and think that they're more expensive than canned beans, but like rice, dried beans swell in volume as they cook. So 1 cup of dry chickpeas will swell to about 3 cups of cooked chickpeas. And to cook dry beans, you first need to soak them to rehydrate them, and then you cook them. For this falafel recipe though, we're just doing that first part, the soaking. Once your beans have soaked, drain the soaking water, rinse the beans with fresh water, and if they are really wet, you can pat them dry. The 3/4 cup dried beans will have swollen to just over 1.5 cups soaked beans, which is the amount we need for this falafel recipe. Now let's blend up the mixture. Add 1.5 cups soaked chickpeas to a food processor with half a medium white onion, 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, 1 cup packed parsley, a combination of fresh herbs you like, or my non-traditional addition, spinach. Half a teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon black pepper, 2 teaspoons ground cumin, 2 teaspoons ground coriander, and 1/4 teaspoon smoked paprika. Pulse the mixture until it's a fine, crumbly texture, similar to the texture of couscous. You don't want to pulse until it becomes a paste. It should still have texture, but it can hold together if you try to form it into a ball. Falafel is often green on the inside, and traditionally that comes from fresh herbs like parsley, cilantro, and dill. I don't always have fresh herbs on hand, but I always have a green like spinach. So that's why I toss spinach in for a bit of that green color and some extra veg. Ground coriander comes from the cilantro plant, so that's how I sneak a bit of that herby flavor in. For best results, chill the falafel mixture in the fridge for 1 hour. This is a step you can skip if you don't have the time, but it does make it easier to form the falafel and it helps these flavors to strengthen. I often leave this in the fridge overnight, but right now, it's time to make the falafel. After 1 hour, remove the falafel mixture from the fridge and stir in 3/4 teaspoon baking powder to help the insides fluff up, and 1.5 tablespoons toasted sesame seeds for extra texture. Form the mixture into individual falafel however you wish. I use a small cookie scoop and use my hands to form balls or patties. To bake falafel, bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 to 20 minutes, carefully turning the falafel halfway through. They are done when they are lightly browned and crispy on the outside. To fry falafel, heat 2 to 3 inches of frying oil over medium. Test if your oil is hot enough by dipping the back of a wooden spoon into the oil. If small bubbles form around the spoon, the oil is ready. Carefully drop a few falafel into the oil at a time and fry in batches for about 2 minutes on each side. You want the outside to be dark brown and crispy. Remove from the oil and place on a paper towel lined plate. Continue frying until all of your falafel are done. Look at this! I think you should hit that subscribe button below, and these falafel are best fresh, but you can freeze them either before or after you cook them, and I have detailed instructions on how to do that in the recipe card, which is linked in the description below for you. Also, my recipes for my simple lemon tahini dressing, my falafel pita, and falafel bowl are also linked below. This recipe makes 15 to 16 falafel and costs us less than $3 Canadian. I hope you have loved this video, and let me know in the comments below if you'll be buying some dry beans and giving this method a try. And coming up next, we we have another recipe that would be great on a meze platter. These crispy and simple seed crackers that are full of protein and delicious. Speaking of delicious.
What's your falafel count out now, Catherine?
At least 6. I have my protein for the day.